these Nikki Haley voters, some of whom voted for you in 2020 but say they don't want to now.
Oh, they'll all vote for me.
How do you bring them back into the
They're going to all vote for me again. They're going to all vote for me again, everybody. And I'm not sure we need too many.
So normally elections are about trying to bring people together, to grow your base, but not Donald Trump. You heard Donald Trump there speaking today saying that he doesn't care if people who are voting for Nikki Haley or others in the Republican Party will support him. He doesn't want their votes. He doesn't need their votes. And Donald Trump continues to attack mainstream Republicans, independents. If you are not part of the MAGA cult, you are now considered a rhino and you don't have a home anymore in the Trump Republican Party, which is now MAGA. And by the way, you could just listen to Donald Trump say that in his own words. This is where Donald Trump said that 95% of the Republican Party, he says, is now MAGA and everybody else is eradicated. Play this clip.
MAGA is not 48. MAGA is like 95% of the party.
And here's Marjorie Taylor Greene as well from today saying that the MAGA Republican Party has eradicated everybody who isn't obedient to Donald Trump. Here, play this clip.
This is a referendum on the Republican Party, and that's something I'll be saying in my speech tonight. This is a true change for the Republican Party. It says that not only do we support President Trump, we support his policies. And any Republican that isn't willing to adapt these policies, we are completely eradicating from the party.
And folks, we've been talking about it here for a long time on the MeidasTouch network that voters are taking notice of this. Mainstream Republicans and independents are looking at Donald Trump and this weird, cult, dangerous MAGA movement attack them, and they're saying, we don't want to be a part of this MAGA movement. Let me show you some clips just from today of kind of mainstream Republicans and independents, people who previously voted for Donald Trump, who hear Donald Trump saying that they should be eradicated from the party, that they don't belong in the Republican Party. And here are people who are just humiliated by Donald Trump being the leader of the Republican Party. Here's one individual who just says that they are humiliated about the way Trump conducts himself and humiliated that they even voted for Trump. Play this clip.
And when you talk to Nikki Haley's voters and people who say that they plan to support her, you hear a mix of voters that are unlikely allies.
I consider myself a traditional Republican.
26-year-old Joseph Moeller is planning to vote for Nikki Haley in Tuesday's New Hampshire primary.
Policy-wise, I'm more in line with Haley.
But the law school student and self-described moderate conservative says his support is driven by another candidate.
I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of New Hampshire.
Right now, Nikki Haley is clearly the one that has the best chance of defeating Trump.
And that's your top priority, defeating Trump.
That's my top priority.
The polling since Donald Trump's historic win in Iowa shows the former president leading by double digits in New Hampshire, but facing a tougher challenge from his former UN ambassador.
I voted for him twice, and I was just humiliated when I saw that the guy I voted for, the way he handled himself after he lost.
Here's another New Hampshire voter who says, I'm never voting for this guy ever again. He compares himself to dictators and says he wants to be a dictator. I don't want to vote for a dictator. This is the United States of America. Play this clip.
I'm 74 years old. I've lived in a constitutional democracy all my life. I want to remain that way, and I want my grandchildren to grow up in one, not a dictatorship.
And I'm curious, over the last two elections, have you voted Trump in the past? Was it something where you voted for him, you trusted him, and you were disappointed?
Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican, and I regretted that vote almost immediately, especially on his trip to Europe where he insulted our allies and praised Putin.
Another Republican voter saying anything but Trump. Play the clip.
Anything but Trump.
That was your priority.
That's my priority.
Is that the biggest reason you supported Nikki Haley?
Yeah, I'd say.
Because of Donald Trump?
Yes, yeah. And I have no problem with the ladies running things. I have one here.
Here's another Nikki Haley voter saying that they would rather vote for President Biden than Donald Trump. Play the clip.
Have you decided who you're going to support on Tuesday?
Yes, I think I have. I think I'm a Nikki supporter.
Are you open to supporting Joe Biden?
I am. I voted for him in the last election. I haven't been pleased with some of his policies.
What have you been most displeased with?
Just the spending and his treatment of the border. I think we've got real problems that he's failing to recognize and do something with. But he's a much better choice than Trump.
Another clip right here. Let's play it.
I voted for Trump the very first election. Yes, I did.
In 2016?
In 2016. And
why not now?
Why not now? Because I feel that I'm not going to tell you what I really feel, but I think that he's not very honest person, and I think that he did a real disservice to our country on January 6th.
And was that when you lost faith in him?
No, I'd lost faith in him a long time before that.
By the way, you also have people like Paul Ryan, former Republican Speaker of the House. Paul Ryan saying that he's a never Trumper. He says Trump doesn't have the character. Trump is unfit to be in that office. You have Paul Ryan saying it. Here, play this clip.
Why don't you run for president?
I just demonstrated. Well, I just demonstrated why not. I'm an anti-Trump guy. I make he's not going to get elected, but I also don't think he's fit for office. So that right there takes 40% off the table for me. So a guy like me saying what I say, you can't get elected. But it's more important for me to be who I am than that. And this just sort of tells you the pickle my party's in, which is fear is so palpable. And the fear of not being highly rated on the fealty scale and therefore being called a rhino, which used to be a moderate conservative measurement, it's a fealty measurement now. That is why there's a lot of other reasons why I'm not running for president, but that's why I'm not viable.
And although Texas Congress member Dan Crenshaw has not gone that far yet and probably won't, even Dan Crenshaw's like, look, this MAGA Republican part of our party, they are refusing to do a border deal, which they claim that they wanted, that President Biden's trying to do on a bipartisan basis. So what if it benefits President Biden? It tries to benefit our country. Why are MAGA Republicans trying to block a border deal? Oh, they want to block the border deal so they could hurt Ukraine, one of our allies, to help Vladimir Putin. This is a Republican, Dan Crenshaw, giving you the game plan of what the modern day MAGA Republicans want to do: reject a border deal that President Biden's trying to put billions of dollars and resources at the border so that the MAGA Republicans can then also cause chaos there, complain about it, and then help Vladimir Putin and harm Ukraine so Ukraine doesn't get any aid. This is Dan Crenshaw, Republican. Play the clip.
Meaningful border policy changes. And for whatever reason people come up with, they don't want it anymore. That's going to be a pretty tough position to stand by. So, so they're saying a couple things, right? Well, we'll never vote for it if it's attached to Ukraine. Really? Like, we get meaningful border policy for Ukraine aid, you're not going to vote for that? So you want Russia to win more than you want border policy changes? That's a tough. You defend that. Some people say, oh, well, Biden wants it now because it's helpful to him politically. Okay, I want border security. That's what I told my constituents that I would do for them. So if we can get that deal, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and those voters that we showed you at the beginning of the video, I think they look at Donald Trump doing things like this, posting QAnon memes. Trump has posted 600 QAnon memes over the past 2 years, over 600 memes like this. He's amplifying QAnon accounts that put the Q logo on him, which is like a recognized death cult that believes that there's a deep state of pedophiles and Donald Trump's the savior of them who's it is some of the strangest things. Donald Trump posts that. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump posts something like this. I get much better poll, he spells poll, P-O-L-E, numbers against Biden than Nikki Haley. Not even close. Or here Donald Trump talks about China and Russia, and this is how he says it. Play this clip.
Russia or China. And she was sitting there like, what the hell? She didn't I put her in the room, you know. Look, one of the reasons I did, because I happen to love the Lieutenant Governor, Henry McMaster.
And Donald Trump supports the January 6th insurrectionists and brags to Hannity and elsewhere that he makes musicals with the January 6th insurrectionists called the J6 Choir. He sings songs with them and he puts out their music on Apple Music. The most dangerous rioters who tried to overthrow our democracy. Here, play that clip.
By the way, that's sort of like 3
Are you really beating Taylor Swift, by the way?
Yeah, I did. The J6 is beating Taylor Swift. It's Donald Trump and the J6 prisoners.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
On iTunes and on Amazon
Wow.
and on Billboard, which is the big deal. #1, Donald Trump. So now I feel like Elvis, because now we've done The Apprentice. That was a great success. We did. Now I've done a recording or whatever you call it. But no, it was #1. And you know what that is? That's a tribute to the fact that people feel the J6 people have been very unfairly treated.
And then he spreads these deranged conspiracies about the January 6th insurrection and just lies all the time, and then gets his lies confused, and then says that he gave 10,000 troops to Nikki Haley to stop the insurrection of people who he's singing songs with. What? This is what he said about Nikki Haley. I mean, this clip's now a very famous clip. Play this one.
Never reports the crowds, you know. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people.
I think we are going to see over and over and over again now a trend, and we've been talking about it for a long time. You know this by watching the MeidasTouch Network. We've been talking about mainstream Republicans and independents leaving this MAGA Republican Party. Politico just wrote a story. Donald Trump has a big problem ahead. A whole swath of GOP voters appear firmly committed to not voting for Trump in November. Donald Trump has a problem no matter what happens in New Hampshire on Tuesday night. There's a whole swath of Republican electorate and a good chunk of independents who appear firmly committed to not voting for him in November if he becomes the nominee. It's an issue that became starkly apparent in polling ahead of the Iowa caucuses when an NBC poll of voters showed that voters in the state found that fully 43% of Nikki Haley supporters said they would back President Joe Biden over Donald Trump. What I keep on talking about here on the MeidasTouch Network, what I think is so important, is that we talk about things as the pro-democracy community versus MAGA. This is about democracy over dictatorship. And we need right now this pro-democracy community that you're a part of to be welcoming to anyone who was once in the Republican Party, mainstream Republicans, independents, people who want to leave MAGA. We need to welcome them right now because our democracy is on the line. And I don't know about you, but seeing those voters in that video talk about how they will never vote for Donald Trump is something that we've been talking about, but it's always heartwarming to see that there are these very, very smart, rational Americans out there who we may disagree on policy, but fundamentally we agree on the importance of our democracy and preserving, protecting, and defending it. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 2 million subscribers and have a great day.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.